Right, so this is like an explanation on the second part of Canto 8. So let me just recap the first one. So first we arrived at Hongyuan, we learned about Honglu's backstory. We don't actually learn enough for it to actually matter. We just learned that a bunch of people hate him for some reason, and there's also a lot of blood and stuff. And like the scenes are pretty obvious, like not being able to change anything, not being able to do anything, and having roles that one must do. And like I intentionally avoided making a prediction in the first part because like it was really vague about the lore and stuff. I guess this video is more about like plot and such, and less of the scenes. Since the themes do actually stay quite the same, and the themes are fairly obvious. The flashbacks are a bunch of people saying, "Oh my God, is that you? Jia Qiu? You're so cool and stuff." And like in the present, there's a bunch of people like, "Wow, we freaking hate you. You live to pay this life. Well, we are here suffering a lot." I'll just give you a quick explanation of like what happens in backstory. Madame is turned into the family hierarchy with the help of the Kong family. She either believes that the Kong family is like a threat, is threatening her power, or just doesn't like how their power has become strong enough to like rival her. So she decides to to plan to wipe all of them out. So she ends up getting like an egg or something from the outskirts, one of the monsters from the outskirts, and implanting inside of like that one girl from the Kong family. I don't remember her name, but I doubt you need to. So that catch it. It turns into one of the bird people. The bird people start killing everyone. And this is where Gary and the Claw step in. So it wasn't Gary and the Claw that killed everyone. It was the bird people, and Gary didn't cause to kill all the birds. I guess this is like a new city taboo of like not letting outside monsters just come in. Since I'm pretty sure there's a lot of backstory about the city, and they had reformed in order to outfight the monsters with humanity, but now they become their own monsters, which is the whole point of the three bird story, with the three birds being the head, eye, and claw. Then again, the whole thing about the story then involves a lot of suffering. And of course, Jia Qiu was there to witness almost all of it. And as Zamu says, it's a royal jade, a gemstone, to just sit there and watch. And we also learned that like the jade eye was implanted and such like that. So the jade definitely has a lot of value, and it definitely needs to see things. Especially considering how Zamu chose to have him like leave Hongyuan, to go on a tour of the city for some reason. What I'm here mostly to discuss is the final battle. Jia Qiu believes in Confucianism, which is why his followers are named after the disciples of Confucius. And since he was abandoned and thrown out, he believes that is a way Confucianism, respect, belief, and rules for all, as it's what Hongyuan needs. The law, the code, something that can define all things. Of course, Zhang believes that strength is what it needs. Realistically speaking, he probably isn't actually just saying this in order to get power. Since it seems that he does actually believe it, and it makes sense. If you're strong enough, you can feed yourself. If you're strong enough, you can house yourself. If you're strong enough, you can protect everyone, and that's what it means. But this is kind of what I find kind of weird. And the whole point that Honglu literally said multiple times, and a lot of people also say directly to his face, that Honglu doesn't really believe anything. He doesn't really have any values. After Jia Qiu questions him budge and decides to answer that kindness is what the city needs. But I felt like this is kind of weird. Since does he actually believe that everyone deserves kindness? And Jia Qiu literally pointed out how he can't give the kindness that he wishes for. Of course, the idea that, one kind act is spread to another is a pretty good one, but I don't really think that's what he believes in. So I believe that final part might actually be like a cop-out or something, especially evident by the way the final part was done. It was like a bunch of jump cuts that made it seem more like a sitcom. And of course, with the sassy trick, like, wow, so that just happened, and everyone laughs and such. So I felt like this was like a dream or something, a dream of the Red Chamber. I feel like at that moment, Honglu might have distorted. He was talking to himself, he wishes to be embraced and such. And yeah, you could say that he's talking to Jia Qiu, but I don't think that Honglu is the type of person who thinks Jia Qiu is the kind of guy who just gives him a hug and such. So I still feel like he's probably talking to Carmen or something. And the way that the flashback was specifically about how it's the elders and how upon seeing the elders, and it seemed like the flashback was immediately cut off, and it was turned to Honglu's smile. But the whole point of the Honglu's smile was kind of also an important part of the story about how he's always smiling, even though many tragedies appeared around him. And the smile is showing how he doesn't have any emotion and does not feel strongly one way or the other, since he believes that he can't change anything. So I feel like it might be something that when he decided to visit the elders, the elder did something to him that caused him to always be smiling like that or something. And they probably did something about wiping the memories that Jia Qiu hinted in Canto 7. Or maybe it might not. The idea I have is Honglu might have distorted at that moment, and his distortion either was able to mind control everyone into actually believing what he's saying, or his distortion just put the entirety of Limbus Company, or maybe it'll put only Dante into a dream, or into an illusion, a land of illusion. I mean, this does make sense, one of the skills if he slips distortion is body sack, which is the name of his ego, so Honglu's distortion would probably be able to use the land of illusion. Or maybe it might have been manifesting ego. So I feel like this idea is inherently selfish. Honglu wanted kindness. He wanted kindness to be given to those who were following on the instruction day. He wanted kindness to be given to him, which was suffering. But he didn't receive his kindness, so maybe in all his selfishness, he managed to manifest ego. Or maybe I might be wrong, and all this did in fact happen, and now we're just going back to going for the final fight and such. But Dante also at the end did talk about how he didn't know what Honglu was looking at. So maybe it might also be illusion, since there's also this image of him standing in front of the gate, saying the line on his weapon. It's in his character art, and it's in the trailer, and it hadn't happened in the Canto yet, so I feel like it's gotta show up at some point. And the gate did say something about land of illusions, so I feel like it makes sense that some sort of illusion is made here. I bet it'll be an illusion or just fake in some shape or form. Yeah, I might be wrong, but then I'll look like an idiot. If I'm right and it's all illusion, then you have to praise me because I'm the smartest person ever and I see right through this. Bye.